Welcome back. You're now watching the political segment on The Weekend Show. We always say on this show that leadership matters. One of the things which President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was touted for during campaign season was that he knows how to select the right people. In the recent couple of weeks, he has appointed a new set of ministers, and I was quite interested in that list because I saw some names that I had known about, and I've also seen proof of the work which they have done and put in place over the years. One of the biggest problems facing Nigeria has been a humanitarian crisis, which is why the last administration created a Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Now, besides what was happening in the northeast with the Boko Haram insurgents, we now have crises across different parts of the country, which now at this time needs specific and targeted humanitarian support and solution. And so it's our pleasure. This morning we'll be discussing we'll be having an exclusive with
the new Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Nentawe Yiwatda. Good morning. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Honorable Minister. You've been brought into a ministry with a lot of attention on, because we all know that one, this is extremely important, but two, there's been a lot of controversy around that ministry. And so my first question to you is, what's your top 3 priorities as the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation?
If you look at that ministry, there are already clear terms what the ministry should do. First is provide immediate support and expand the support net for the vulnerable people, so that so you have safety nets for the people who are vulnerable, which is the first thing that anybody who is going to that ministry should do. Safety net that people who are already vulnerable, who are at the bricks of maybe being submerged by difficulty in the community society, will be safe and rescued. That's one key priority. The second priority is to work on policies that will bring about sustainable development and empowerment to the people. That's moving people from poverty to prosperity. So that instead of just providing relief materials for the people, you're looking at sustainable programs by policies and also actions that can get people to move out of poverty to sustainable, income within their destiny. And then the third one that I must work on is to work on data-driven approaches, implementing data, proven data approaches that will improve poverty alleviation and reduce poverty in our communities, and give human face to government policies, because that's a role of my ministry, that collectively we can actually give a human face to all the government policies, because the president is aware that for every policy of government, it comes with consequences, and where the consequences may impact on the living condition of people, then our job as a ministry is to ensure that we cushion those effects and give a human face to those policies of government. And that's why principally the ministry is set up.
Of mismanagement of funds was the reason why the previous humanitarian minister was suspended.
Yes.
And on this show, we always reiterate on holding our leaders accountable, from the local governments to the executive. So what role would accountability and transparency play in this new role?
Very important. It will play a very important role. Before now, I was an INEC commissioner. I served as an INEC commissioner before I later left and contested for the governor of the state. And in most of the elections I've handled, which you can check, you can fact check after I've left, I've handled some of the most difficult elections. And what I normally do is just to provide transparency. If you look at what we did first was to bring international partners to work with us during elections. So they monitor our programs, we engage them, both national and international partners. We bring in CSOs, we bring NGOs to participate in the activities that we're doing. When you bring those kind of, you bring people to participate in the processes, outside people in government, you can easily bring transparency in what you're doing. So in this case, what do we intend to do? Before even I resume office, the president acknowledged that, and the president set up an interministerial committee to review the processes and improve the processes and ensure that data-driven content and also interfacing with international bodies who are funding part of the programs that we're having also get into participate in the activities, and they have access to data, and they also participate in the data generation. With that, you bring some level of transparency in what you are doing. And so it's for us as a minister to latch on what has already been done by the president, by setting up the interministerial committee, so we can improve the content. If you just look at the last, I was sworn on Monday. I think my swearing was on Monday. That very day, the president gave me an instruction. Very day, that day, in the evening. The instruction was very clear. Go to Minister of Justice. Work with Minister of Justice, those minors that were in court. Ensure that you do everything possible without eliciting prejudice to the existing court processes to ensure that they are released. Number 2, ensure that they are reunited with their parents. Number 3, ensure that they also are rehabilitated. And the last instruction is that ensure that you integrate them to society. It was a clear term. So what did we do? First, we got the international partners to be part of the process. We brought UNICEF in. We brought the media in. We brought the other ministries that are supposed to participate in. We brought the medical doctors in. It was so transparent that you can virtually monitor how the process went. We're able to get the minors out. Before they were out already, we have vehicles waiting for them. And we moved them from the prison vehicles into an air-conditioned, comfortable vehicles. Along with UNICEF and other media and other people, we moved them to Women Development Center. At the center, there were rooms already prepared for them. There was food by UNICEF. There was clothes by the Refugee Commission. And also there was food also by UNICEF. And clothes by UNICEF and Refugee Commission. And we got them to wear the new clothes, dressed, and we got medical doctors to check them up. So you discover the issue of poverty or the issue of humanitarian activities is a multidimensional contribution from people, from the media, from the ministry, interministerial activities, international partners, local partners, and everybody needs to come in. And that's what we did. After that, after medical checkup, we discovered people who were having medical condition. We put them on a check. People who were good enough to be transported without any harm or any havoc, not on them, or any medical condition that may restrain them from traveling. We got them on bus. We called the governors. 2 governors were on hand to receive them with their commissioners, and we now gave them term of reference of what they should do. 1, to rehabilitate. 2, to integrate, which we did. And yesterday, Friday, we made a call to the governors, the 2 states, based on the desk officer they gave us. And what were the feedbacks? And this is where the feedback comes in now. And that's the transparency comes in now. And that's why, we could, as of yesterday, the UNICEF were already involved, getting the feedback along with us and the rest. So we called back. One of the states, they've already done their medical checkup. They've done surgery on somebody, one of them who has eye problem. They've done medical checkup. They've done treatment for some of them who have medical conditions. Those who have no medical condition, they've reunited with their parents already. And some who have medical conditions, they're in the hospital giving their treatment. As of yesterday, by 4 o'clock in the evening when we're closing, I got all those data from the states. And in one of the states also, they've already even done a lot of work also. They've set up a team. they've got UNICEF. They've tabulated the schools that they will go to. They've also gotten one CHIP, CIHP, is one of the NGOs. They're already working with them to ensure that they empower those that want to be empowered, along with UNICEF also, so that they can easily empower them to be integrated back to the society. And outside that also, they got psychologists, psychotherapists, are also working on trauma healing for the kids in both of the states. So these are already, we're already showing that we're transparent in our activities. We're engaged in the media. We're engaging international partners. So everybody is getting engaged in what we're doing. We're making so transparent, so open, so engaging, because it's a directive of the president that we should do it. The president wants transparency in what we're doing. He has given a clear directive on what we should do. And I'm just carrying out the mandate of what he has asked me to do. And that's why he brought some of us in to ensure that we bring in some new energy, new transparency, but it's a template we're carrying.
Yeah, Honorable Minister, first of all, I think it's impressive that those minors were released, and it also shows the power of advocacy, because just like last week, Saturday, we had that conversation on TV about the minors.
Yes.
So to an extent, it shows the government is listening, and you being here also shows you are ready to listen and interact with people. We hope a year from down the line, we'll still have this access to you. But something which you speak about, and from our research we know about, is that because of your background in academia, you know the importance of data-driven solutions and data-driven research, and you've said that a lot on this show, which I think is extremely important. And so this question is in these two prongs. One, how important is technology in humanitarian response? How important is technology? Because some other people will say, oh, technology is only for the people, is for the middle class, is only for whatever. So I'll let you speak on that. And then secondly, after that, we've seen situations where international agencies, donor agencies, tend to dictate to us, the local country, on what they feel is right for us, as opposed to solutions that are created by and for us, which would work better. Most times they draft their solutions and their responses and bring it here and just want to impose, which may not be the most sustainable. How do you intend to deal with that as the Honorable Minister?
Already the ministry and the other the core ministries that are also working on issue of poverty, because the issue of poverty is multidimensional, like we were saying. So when we discuss about multidimensional poverty, we're talking about access to education, access to health, access to water, which means there are so many ministries involved. Even access to communication, access to to justice, access. So it's about access. When we discuss about multidimensional, somebody's multidimensionally poor. What that simply means is that one ministry cannot implement poverty reduction. Poverty reduction is a policy statement of government that provides access to several other. So if government is providing access to water, safe water, it means that government is involved in poverty reduction. Now, can the federal government reduce poverty alone? The answer is no. Poverty reduction starts from the local government. So we must work at policies and streamline those policies so that they can be midwifed by the local government, by the state government, by the federal government, by the private sector, by individuals, international partners. So when you talk about you reduce the intervention of poverty reduction to only international partners, you're reducing the input of many people, including you. I'm sure there are many people who are supporting back home in the villages. You're already part and parcel of the process of poverty reduction. I'm sure you're doing it because this is an African society. So almost everybody in Nigeria is involved in poverty reduction. That's number one. Number two, you're reducing the impact of other, private entrepreneurs who are already intervening. If you hear about something like Tony Olumelu Foundation, and you hear what they're doing in creating jobs, when you hear about Dangote providing food to communities, rural villages, when you hear about several other private sector contribution, the international companies, local companies, individuals, the political class, the churches, the mosques, the religious bodies, and several bodies who are contributing to poverty reduction. Then when you discuss and you're streamlining to all international partners, you're reducing the contribution of these people. I recall when I was in INEC, as INEC Commissioner in Benue State, because I was involved in IDP voting. Okay. I was part of the people that streamlined the issue of getting the rights of the IDPs and also building the framework for it when I was in INEC. And we tested the IDP voting in Benue State in 2019 election. But what did we do? I was an INEC commissioner. I wasn't involved in any poverty reduction, but I worked with the state emergency management agency. We're able to set up primary schools for the IDPs. We're able to set up cooperative for the women who were displaced. Because discover that in those communities we have kids who have been out of school for over 2-3 years because their parents were displaced and they were in the IDPs without schooling. We discovered that women who lost their parents, who lost their husbands, were more vulnerable. So we organized a cooperative for them. We do some training for them. We provided funding for them. I raised some funding for them. I brought this former footballer who had an academy in Abuja here. He came down to Benue State. He did a clinical for the kids over there. He picked some of them from the IDPs and integrated them. So was I the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs?
Which is why I got a choice for it.
So, so the issue of humanitarian activities has nothing to do with just the ministry alone. It's a holistic disease. So that's why we need to now get data. If we get data of these people who are poor, and that's why we said that we must go back to Nigerian Population Commission and get their map. Their map provides for the Nigeria divided into 36 plus Abuja 37. Each state divided into local governments. Each local government divided into what they call census enumeration areas. Into wards. Each ward divided into census enumeration areas. So it's a minute component of each community. So you can now get the poverty rate distributed across not just a state. So if you say this state has so percent of poor people, who are those people? Percentage is a number. Can we get the faces of those numbers? If we said we have 103 million people who are multidimensionally poor, these are numbers, but we don't want numbers. We want identity.
So can we? Are you going to update the current register?
No. But what we need to do is to distribute them geospatially. See how they're distributed. Get addresses for them. Get location for them. Distribute them. Now, when we distribute them and we have this data geospatially distributed across the country, we can hand over this data to several other organizations. If an organization already intervening in a community, then let them upload the data for us. We know the level of intervention they've done. We don't need to repeat intervention in those communities again. If an NGO is coming into intervention, we say, no, this place already has intervention. Move to this location. So we can now have equal distribution of intervention across the country. For now, there's so much congestion and repetition.
And everybody's giving rice.
Yes. So we can say, if they're giving rice, they will say, hey, they're giving rice here. These people need something different. This community, they've lost so people during this crisis. There are so many widows in this community. There are so many kids who are out of school in this community. Can you set up school for us in this place? Can you provide water in this place? Can you provide sanitation in this place? Can you provide this? It makes it easier for intervention. It makes it easier also for distribution of intervention. And that's why data is very important.
Yeah.
Okay. You've continually mentioned, your role as INEC commissioner previously.
Yes.
I would like to know how would the experiences that, you've gotten as INEC commissioner, as professor of digital systems engineering, reflect in the humanitarian sector as you lead it?
My experience is beyond the university. My father was a pastor of a church. He's a missionary. And he lived mostly in Yobe and Borno State. What did I learn from my father? My father's best friend is the chief imam of the community. The chief imam was richer than my father. My father was poorer than the chief imam. The chief imam used to support our house. He would buy rice and give our father. It simply means that when it comes to intervention and support, tribal identity, ethnicity, and religion plays no role. And that's what I've learned from my father. So I'm always not ashamed to identify with all religion, all ethnicity, because my father built that from, I learned it from an imam who was a friend to my father. So that was the first role I learned from my father. And friendship. Secondly, while there in Borno State, that was when Nentawe crisis started in the early 80s. We were displaced. I also became a displaced person. My father moved to Bauchi in the late 80s and 90s. 91 crisis in Bauchi. My father was in Bauchi. In railway. If you know railway in Bauchi, we're around railway. Now, near to do Sentenshi in Bauchi. In Bauchi, there was Bauchi crisis in 1991. Where you have dominant Christian community, Muslim houses were burnt. Where you have dominant Muslim community, Christians' homes were burnt. My father lost his house. Our house was burned. We lost everything we ever had. I stayed in Command Day Secondary School as an IDP. We all moved to the Command Secondary School in the barracks. We're given temporary shelter. I have to live with one cloth for over a week. I couldn't brush. There was even no water for us to brush. We managed to have what we drink. I couldn't take my bed. No clothing, no food. We're struggling. In short, I looked malnourished within just 2 weeks. So it's something I've lived. I've experienced. I know how inhuman being an IDP can be. How, everything about, the dignity, the life dignity in you shrinks overnight. I've experienced it. So it's beyond the university and INEC experience that I had.
Okay. Honorable Minister, first of all, just because of time, I'm wrapping this up.
Yes.
You ran a keenly contested election in Tata State, and I think I had the conversation with someone here saying, when I saw the shift in the House of Reps and the Senate, I expected something similar to happen for the gubernatorial, but it was a keenly contested election. And from your experience, you've seen a lot of displacement in what we call the middle belt of Nigeria. During the election, they call us North Central, but I still see it as the middle belt. And there's a lot of displacement there, which is even currently being underreported. Recently, the Cairo International Center for Conflict and Peace Building stated that the crisis in the middle belt of Nigeria has taken about 6 times more people than we've had in the Northeast. Do you plan to place a bit more of the limelight on those underreported areas as the minister?
The issue of displaced people is beyond just Plateau. If you go around the entire country, it so happened that I had the experience of working across this country. I worked with UNICEF as a consultant in the AFIL office, which covers the entire Southeast and the South-South. I've been to all the local government in these states, each local government. I've seen people displaced in the South-South, especially during rainy season. I've seen people displaced because of community mining of oil and the rest. And I've seen displacement in this area. I've seen the same thing in the middle belt. I've seen it also in the Southeast. We have the same problem. So it's not just in the North Central alone, so that we will not limit it to North Central. From the data I've gathered in the office, we have displacement across the country. So which means our intervention is going to be,
nationwide.
Like nationwide, so that we'll not restrict it to a particular place. But And that's where you show data coming now. Once you can provide this data to people, intervention become easier. And without data, people wouldn't know where to intervene and where to even support. And by the time we even provide data, even the state government, some state government are estimating the people that are even displaced because they don't have the figures at their fingertips. So when you have data, people can also, even the state government will be more eager to intervene, and local governments too. And even individuals in the state will also be eager to intervene. So it goes beyond just Plateau and Benue or Middle Belt alone.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We will be following your progress, and we will continue to hold you accountable.
Absolutely.
And we hope to hear from you more often, because it's important that the citizens, the people, your constituents get this direct interaction with you, which is why we appreciate your presence. We didn't send him any questions, and so this has been a transparent.
And we also would expect you to, continue to remain transparent throughout your leadership of the humanitarian sector.
That would do.
Yes, thank you very much.
Not just me alone, but
yes,
it's the directive of the president to all of us. In short, the day of Asuri, that was one thing he keep on reiterating to all of us. So it's not just about what I want to do alone, but the oath I took, the directive of the president, and also the expectation of the public.
Yeah.
People like you on me.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian and Poverty Alleviation, Dr. Nentawe Yiwatda. Sorry, we'll get used to
You may go to school to learn my name.
I have to, but I also like how thank you so much for your
Thank you.
Yes,
Welcome.
you.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break. When we return, we have the entertainment segment on The Weekend Show. Don't go away.